So could you perhaps describe the kind of most recent time that you were concerned that somebody was going to attack you? Just so we can get a bit more information.
It happens all the time, you know. I mean, it's just never leave the house, you know. I mean, yesterday I was going to the shops and I had this. Yeah, I was going to the shops and I just kind of worried about it and ended up just kind of running home. And yeah, it was really bad. Yeah.
Okay. Could you tell me what kind of happened in the shop that made you so worried that you ran home?
Well, it wasn't in the shop. I was about to go in the shop, and I haven't been out of the house for a while, you know. So I can't. Basically, they were going to come for me. So you know, I just had to kind of go for it. I just kind of run. So.
Kind of how did you know that they were going to come for you?
Well, you know, they've got their ways of kind of letting other people know if you know. So yeah.
And was there any particular way yesterday that you kind of knew that it was going to happen?
Well, they gave the signal. Okay. You know, the signal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the signal?
Well, I heard this big guy basically just kind of, you know, he kind of coughed and he signalled that's him, you know, to this other guy. So I had to just run.
And so it sounds like there were two people that you were concerned were going to attack you, or was there more than that? Or?
Well, you know, I know they don't tend to just come in pairs, so I know there's always like backup around the corner and stuff. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So clearly that's quite a kind of frightening situation to find yourself in.
Yeah. It's making me anxious just now.
Yeah. Can you see that? Are you okay to carry on talking about it? Okay. It certainly sounds like it would be very frightening. I presume you did feel very scared. Is that right?
Yeah.
You were about to go into the shop. This big bloke coughed and kind of signalled. Was it that the cough was the signal, or
sorry?
Was it that the cough was the signal?
Yeah. Well, I mean that, and obviously, you know, they kind of just kind of look at each other, you know.
Okay. So,
but the cough. So I know they're going to come for me.
Right. Okay.
They're looking at me and looking at each other, and then it's just.
Yeah. Okay. Clearly, very difficult situation.
Well, would you like to be?
No, clearly not. It sounds very
difficult. Yeah,
scary. Yeah.
It's lucky to still be here.
Thankfully, you did kind of get home, and you are here.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you manage that?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty fast on my feet, you know.
Okay.
So I've not been caught yet. So
okay. Did you kind of get a chance to look back at all, see if they were chasing you or anything?
I didn't. No, I just went for it. I didn't move back till I got home.
Okay. So you just legged it, waited until you got home.
I know what you're getting at. I didn't see them chasing me. But I know what you're getting at.
Okay. What am I getting at?
Well, you know that I didn't see them, so I kind of know.
Right. Okay. I guess just trying to find out more about the situation specifically yesterday. So just to try and kind of summarise what you've said so far, it sounds like you were on your way to the shops, about to go into the shop, and you heard the cough, big bloke coughing, knew he was signalling somebody else to attack you. Were you actually worried that they were going to kill you or just beat you up, or?
Well, it's obviously, you know, you've seen on telly yourself what they do to people.
Yeah.
You've seen, you know, they're capable of all kinds of stuff, you know, torture. everything.
And who are these people that you're concerned about?
I mean, you know who I'm talking about. You know,
So you'd rather not talk about it in detail? Okay, that's fine. So we have the situation where you're going into the shop, hear this big bloke cough, he's signalling somebody else to attack you, potentially do something, very nasty by the sound of things. So understandably, you feel really scared and kind of get out of there as fast as you possibly can. Keep running all the way home.
Yeah.
When you got home, did you feel safe then, or?
Well, I mean, after I checked the house and stuff, I felt a lot safer after I kind of checked things out and checked the. I mean, there were a couple of things that may have moved stuff while I was out, but that's. I mean, I just. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, I felt alright, but better than. I mean, I've got a lot of locks on my door and stuff. I can.
Okay.
And they haven't come in yet. They haven't come into the house yet. But I just don't think they're happy about me being out in the street. I just don't think they're happy about me. Walking around free. So, but they seem to be alright with me in the house.
Okay. So it sounds like you feel a bit safer when you're at home, but not completely safe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So if we think about kind of just kind of trying to summarise what happened yesterday, would that be okay?
Yeah.
Is it all right if we kind of just take some notes so that you can kind of see whether I'm kind of getting it right? Is that okay? So in terms of what happened, it sounds like the kind of sort of the start of this situation, if you like, was you were about to enter the shop and the kind of big bloke coughed and sort of maybe made eye contact or something with the other person. And it sounds like how you kind of made sense of it was that it was the signal for them to kind of attack you, potentially do something really very nasty.
I mean, they're clever. They're clever. They never come out and say, "Get him," or anything like that. They're dead clever. They're just quite subtle in the way they go about things. They're trained in this. These guys have years of training.
Okay. So because you were worried that these people who are, very well trained and capable of kind of doing very bad things.
Capable of anything.
Because you kind of worried that it was the signal and this was the time that they were going to attack you. It sounds like understandably that made you feel pretty terrified.
Yeah.
I mean, would you use the word terrified or?
Yeah, it's scared for my life. And did you not see like on telly the other day? You see the things that they're capable of.
I don't actually have a TV.
Right.
Okay. So sorry.
Okay.
But I think I know the kind of people that you're talking about. So it sounds like you were about to enter the shop. The big bloke coughed. You kind of knew that was the signal they were going to attack you. You worried that they're capable of doing, pretty much anything. Understandably, felt terrified, in fear of your life, and so understandably, you kind of escaped as quickly as possible, ran home, and then kind of bolted yourself in and kind of
that's about right. Yeah.
Kind of made it as safe as possible. Okay. In terms of when you were in the situation, it sounds like it was, you were absolutely convinced that this was about to happen.
Yeah, afterwards I was, sometimes I kind of question it a bit afterwards. Sometimes I think it's a bit like, sometimes I think, just when you're talking about it, sometimes I think this is just my imagination, but better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're in this situation and are convinced that it is a signal they're going to attack you, it makes perfect sense to feel absolutely in fear of your life and to escape as quickly as you possibly can.
I mean, they're going to come for me one day. It's just they're so unpredictable. But yeah, I mean, just
in terms of kind of how much you believed at the time that it was the signal.
Oh, it was just yeah.
Were you totally convinced?
Oh yeah, totally convinced. Okay. Yeah, totally convinced.
So in terms of kind of sort of percentage, would you say 100% or?
Oh, 110.
110.
110. Yeah.
So clearly, no doubt whatsoever in your mind. How about thinking about it now?
To be honest, it's just kind of while we're talking and stuff. Say about 80.
Okay. So still pretty strong.
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of the situation yesterday, how strongly would you kind of rate?
Oh, it was really bad.
The fear.
Really bad.
So if we sort of use percentage again, with 100 being the worst it's ever been, what would you say it was yesterday?
That was 100. Yeah.
So utterly kind of terrified, really. And as you say, in fear of your life. Okay. I mean, you said kind of better to be safe than sorry, which clearly I think makes a lot of sense in this kind of situation. So, there's clear kind of advantages to thinking about being better safe than sorry, as it were. What are those advantages?
Not being taken away into some place, not disappearing, not being tortured, murdered. That's a bit of an advantage.
So if would it be okay if we just thought kind of briefly about the advantages and any potential disadvantages, kind of making sense of things like that?
Yeah.
It sounds very clearly like the obvious advantage is you're still here, so you're safe, you're alive. So stay alive and kind of safe. So you weren't necessarily sure that they were going to kill you, but it sounds like you're clearly worried that there were lots of possibilities in terms of nasty things that they might do. And because you're very convinced that this will happen at some point, if it sounds like you kind of feel if it's not today, it'll be tomorrow or the next day. Very clear kind of advantages to sort of making sense of what happened in that way, in that you're still here, you're alive, you were safe.
Yeah, not in some prison, some country, just getting tortured.
Are there any disadvantages to thinking that it was a signal and that they were going to attack you?
Well, you're saying there's disadvantages to being attacked, and this was how do you mean?
Well, I'm just wondering if kind of being on your guard all the time, the kind of better safe than sorry, thinking in this situation that this was a signal. You're saying thinking about it, sat here, kind of maybe 80%.
Well, yeah, I know I'm a bit paranoid sometimes, and it does mean. I mean, obviously that's I mean, maybe there are times when I get it wrong, but there maybe are times when I get it wrong. But I think, I suppose sometimes there are disadvantages when I get it wrong. But this is
if this was an occasion where you'd got it wrong, what would the disadvantages have been?
Well, I didn't get my bread and milk.
Okay, so no bread and milk, kind of very small disadvantage compared to staying alive and safe.
But that happens quite a lot.
So
because I don't have any food in the house.
Okay.
Just,
so the kind of restrictions that it
you feel like
sort of imposes.
Feel like an idiot as well.
Okay.
Everybody looks at you. Nobody. Well, nobody believes you as well. Nobody believes you.
Okay, and it certainly sounds like it's extremely stressful and kind of terrifying. And if it was an occasion where, you know, maybe you were mistaken, then presumably that kind of level of kind of fear for your life and absolute terror is potentially a disadvantage, would you say?
Yeah.
In terms of just the kind of stress.
Yeah.
So there's clearly kind of
But
massive.
a lot of this is only if that's not,
Yeah.
Not true.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So if this is true, then clearly the advantage of staying alive and safe far, outweighs any disadvantages, and these disadvantages are trivial.
Yeah.
But if it was an occasion where you were mistaken, and in terms of your concerns about if it's not today, it's tomorrow or the next day. If it wasn't today, as it were, then in that specific situation, there were some disadvantages of not getting food, and it sounds like that sort of, the restrictions that you have to put on your life, and never having anything in your fridge and so on, is potentially a disadvantage. Sounds like other people often don't believe you, and that you feel like an idiot sometimes. And you experience an awful lot of kind of stress and kind of terror, fear because of it. What I'm wondering about is whether there's potentially ways that we could keep the advantages, so make sure that we keep you safe and alive, and because that's far more important than any of this. So we need to make sure that we keep that, and that we're not in any way endangering you or increasing the risk in any way. But potentially there might be things we could do to sort of reduce some of these disadvantages. Would that sound like something that would be worth kind of striving for?
Yeah.
So I guess hopefully we can make you feel less terrified.
If you're saying that that's not,
Yeah.
if you're saying that this isn't true,
Yeah.
then I'm just going to feel like an idiot.
Right. I'm not at all saying that this isn't true. And certainly the last thing I want is for you to feel like an idiot. But I'm wondering whether there's potentially ways that we can keep you alive and safe, and ensure that we're not in any way jeopardising that, but that
Well, if you can do that,
maybe reduce some of these disadvantages, make you feel hopefully a bit more in control of things, a bit less kind of terrified in a situation, and maybe see if there's a way of kind of being able to stay alive and safe, but with less of the kind of restrictions and kind of unhelpful or unwanted kind of feelings and so. Would that seem sensible?
yeah.